People say they want to learn to sew, but they don't know where to start. Challenge is usually not the sewing itself, it's the choosing the first project. Hi, I'm Emily with Threaded Journey, and today I want to help you choose that first project. Our theme is going to be sew what you already love. So keep that in mind and let's pick your first project. You've truly never sewed before. You might want to start with something simple. I started with balances. Just like these, I used a tablecloth. If you don't actually want curtains, you might just do some holiday ones. Hang them up for a few weeks on a tension rod. Simple, easy to start with. Pillowcase, table runner, a simple tote bag. Those are all good, easy projects. The fabric is easy to get, and you don't have to worry about it fitting somebody's body. To decide what garment we're going to make first, we're going to answer some questions. I've made a questionnaire here for you to answer, and then we're going to walk through it together. I wish I had known to work through something like this when I started. This is how I would have answered those questions 2 years ago when I started sewing. I wanted to sew for myself. I wear t-shirts and blue jeans pretty much every day. I love knit fabric. I wanted some cute long sleeve shirts, and I wanted some fall and spring church dresses. I wanted to be comfortable when I was substitute teaching, but nicer than a t-shirt, and of course to church. And then I would be excited to wear either right away. Knowing what I know now, I would have picked a long sleeve knit shirt. That's not what I did. I picked a pattern that was too hard for me. It was just one I found in the store. I picked fabric that was not appropriate for the dress. This is shirting, not dress material. And I picked plaid, and I also picked a zipper. I stopped in the middle of cutting that plaid fabric, and I did some research. What I want to accomplish with this video is to tell you what I learned when I stopped and I was patient. My first mistake was picking a pattern that was too hard for me. I should have picked an easy or a beginner-friendly pattern. In my research, I found that there are online pattern companies. You just print it at home, put it together like a puzzle, and cut it out. That was great news. I had a printer. I could do that. And so I found my first online pattern. You're looking at a pattern, make sure it has what you need. Is it a beginner pattern? Does it have the type of fabric you want? Is it the style that you're looking for? If so, great. You want your pattern to have options, but in the beginning, watch for patterns that have too many options. Those can be overwhelming. But it's nice to have different necklines, different waistlines, different lengths, those kinds of things. You've decided on the style, but check your fabric requirements. Look at the recommended fabric. Look at and see if there's any notions that you need. If it says a zipper or buttons, do not purchase that as a beginner. It will also probably tell you how it's intended to fit. Now we come down to how much fabric we need. You do need to make sure you look at how wide the fabric is. This is based on 58-inch wide fabric. Based on that, if you're going to do the long sleeve version and a maxi dress, you could need 2.5 yards of fabric or all the way up to 3 1/4 yards of fabric, depending on the size that you're making. To figure that, I need to decide what sleeve I'm making and how much yard that takes, and add it to what skirt length I'm making. And then you're going to look at what size you're making and add those numbers together. Now that you've found a pattern that meets all of your requirements, or hopefully all of them, it's time to pick out fabric. Yay! Now this can be tricky. So let's look at a few things. If you're going to use a woven fabric, The most common fabric your town is going to have is just quilting cotton. And it's okay to use it as a dress. Midweight to lightweight, you can kind of tell like this is just a little floppier than this one is. So that's the difference in those. Just look at the tag, midweight or lightweight, just depending on what style of dress you want and how it drapes. So you can kind of just like pull it out some and see how's it going to drape. Linen is a pretty good one to start with. Just be careful. It can be see-through. A lot of times linen is lined, but you're not going to want to start with a lining. So if you can wear a slip with it and it's a little bit darker, linen is okay to work with to start with. Save those little bit slicker style of wovens for after you've done a few projects. You can get dress fabric just at the quilting store if you want to, but Walmart, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, those will have some cute cotton fabrics that you can use. You can also use a sheet. Makes a great first project. Just get a cute little sheet. Polyester's fine. I just did my Easter dress out of a polyester sheet that originally came from Costco that I got at the secondhand store. So that works too. Okay, let's talk knit fabric. Knit fabric is what your t-shirts are made out of, what your sweatshirts, what your leggings, those kinds of things. It stretches. Depending on the fabric, depends on how much it stretches, what direction it can stretch. Can it stretch one way? Can it stretch both ways? You can kind of notice this by looking at some of your sweatshirts. Some of your sweatshirts may really stretch. Some of them may hardly stretch at all. Same with your t-shirts. It's just the type of knit fabric that it is. So that's one thing to look for on a knit pattern is it may tell you how much stretch it needs. Knit fabric is going to be harder to find unless you live in a big city that has a lot of fabric stores. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm hoping that Michael's is going to get some more. Hobby Lobby has some. Every now and then you can find a little bit at Walmart, but you probably are going to need to order your knit fabric online. Double brushed poly, so soft and worth it. So soft, easy to work with. Love double brushed poly. Cotton lycra jersey is also easy to work with as long as you get a good quality one. Sometimes the knit like at Walmart that's in the little rolls will be kind of thin and that's a little bit harder to work with. Oh, just so many pretty fabrics. Love knit. The best thing about knit fabric is it doesn't ravel. So after you have cut it, no matter how much you mess with it, it is intact. It does not have the ravel that woven does. So what that means is that you don't have to finish your edges. You can leave all of your edges raw when you finish sewing it. You just sew that seam and you don't have to worry about it. You don't need to serge it. You don't need to zigzag it. Nothing. You can completely leave it just like it is. Woven, you cannot do that. You have all these strings. So that makes knit a great fabric to start with if you can find knit or you're willing to order it. One of my favorite places to get knit fabric right now is at knitfabric.com. I will put a link in the description. But one of the things I ordered from them was just this little swatch set. I think it was like $5. I ordered it with my first set. A double brush poly or a cotton lycra jersey. Order either one of those and add the little swatch set. And then you'll know what all of their top knit fabrics feel like. You can touch and feel them, and that's super helpful. And then anything else that I order, I'm just attaching it. So this was organic cotton lycra, which was gorgeous. It was much more expensive than just the regular cotton lycra jersey, but boy, it was beautiful. Now let's talk picking a solid versus a pattern. Solid is easy. No worries about it at all. Pattern is a little bit different. You can have a smaller pattern. You can have a larger pattern. You can have a much larger pattern. If you have a super large pattern, you do need to be aware of like where it sits, what it is. Like you don't want it like up here and nothing over here if it's a spread out pattern. So be careful with that. I want you to notice most of all pattern direction. The pattern actually has a direction. So if you look at it here, the flowers are going up. If I turned this around, maybe I did the sleeve this way, they would be going upside down. So this is a directional print fabric. This one, even though the pattern size is about the same, is a non-directional fabric. These flowers are not up, down. They're kind of all over, and it does not make any difference at all which way the fabric is turned. If it's up or if it's down, it still looks the same. So this is called a non-directional fabric. The reason you need to know that is because it can make a difference on how you cut out your pattern pieces on your fabric, but also how much fabric you need. We go back to our pattern and look right here. It says directional fabric will require more yardage. The reason it tells you that is because the pattern is wanting you to lay out your pattern pieces in the most efficient way possible so that you buy the least amount of fabric. So if you have a flared skirt, if you put one piece right side up and one piece right side down, you might be able to get them side by side, and it may be counting on that, or the sleeves or whatever it is. So that's the reason it's saying that. So you just need to be a little bit careful when you're buying fabric. If you're buying a directional fabric, you're probably going to want to buy extra, and you want to look and see if they have laid out the pattern pieces in an efficient way for you. That little map helps a lot. That Catherine dress does not have a layout for you. Some pattern companies have it, some don't. But I'm going to show you my Easter dress one. It was kind of complicated, but it was one that you had to have a non-directional or a solid in order to get all the pieces in the fabric amount suggested. You can see here that the front is going down and the back is going up. So if I cut those like that and added directional fabric, my front would be upside down. Just make it easy on yourself. Start with a solid or start with a non-directional print. No plaids, no stripes, no huge pattern. Simple and easy. Hopefully I have covered everything that you need to know before you pick that first project. And hopefully I've made it easier. Let's go back to my first project and see what I did when I stopped and thought about what I was making a little bit better. I ended up finding that Catherine dress at Sonia Estep Designs, and that's what I made for my first garment. It turned out just like this. Luckily, I had just picked a non-directional fabric. I did pick knit because I discovered that that's what I like to wear, so that's what I wanted to make. Long sleeves. It wasn't gathered or anything like that, but my hard part with this one was the neckline and the cuffs. The cuffs actually were no big deal. If anybody tells you cuffs are scary, they are not. They're simple to do. The neckband was a little bit more difficult, but I have a video for that to help you get those in nice and easy. So a simple little dress. One of my shirts, though, would have been even a little bit less fabric and even a little bit easier to make. If you've been feeling stuck because you didn't know where to begin with your sewing journey, I hope this video has given you a clear path forward. Just remember, sew what you love, pick a beginner-friendly pattern, and match your fabric to your pattern. In the next video, we'll talk about choosing your size. While you're waiting, check out the beginner-friendly playlist up next.